And welcome to the Dakota Real Estate Network. I'm Greg Larson. I'm here with guy on the boards, Jim Walsh.
Hello.
Somewhere out in the mortgage mobile is Joe Sheehan, traveling around hunting either pheasants or a good interest rate. I'm not sure which. And soon to be with us is Dave Floor. He's en route. So, Mr. Jim, we were talking before we got started about a significant happening on this day, October 29th, back in 1971.
The passing of Skydog. Not Greg. Duane Allman.
Yeah, that's right.
Duane Allman.
And he was missed. It was a motorcycle crash, right, in the height of his career.
And in his adopted hometown of Macon, Georgia.
That's correct. And we're going to feature then Mr. Allman's music today on this. Some other things that happened. We're stalling here, folks, if you haven't figured this out.
Dave, hurry up.
Yeah. So what happened today, October 29th, in different times of the deal? 1942, October 29th. You got a guess?
1942, I'm guessing it had something to do with World War II.
It did. The British, for the first time, any nation publicly protested the treatment of Jews in Germany.
Oh, okay.
First time today. And Jim's getting his... By the way, hi, Dave.
Hi.
We're getting started. Another thing that happened today, 1956, Israel invaded Egypt in response to bombings and killings by Egyptians in Israel.
And if I recall my history, Eisenhower took the side of Egypt in that conflict.
Yes, he did.
He said that Israel was acting inappropriately.
That's correct. And in 1998... former Senator and astronaut John Glenn started his second trip into space.
Ooh, okay.
And there's some other fun facts for you for October 29th. We have a few more we'll look at. Here's one I like this. A noted English bon vivant and Sir Walter Raleigh was executed as a pirate.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. He was a pirate.
Well, he stole from the Spanish and the French and gave it to England, and then political pressure hit that he was a pirate and he was executed.
Okay. Well, good morning.
Good
guys.
morning,
I'm
and
sorry
welcome.
I was late. I did the speed limit all the way over. I made it, and I hit every green light.
And Joe Sheehan, as we said, is out somewhere in the mortgage mobile.
He claims he's at a meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows?
So,
like you said, I heard he was out. He's probably out pheasant or interest rate hunting, one of the two.
one or the other.
Yeah,
One or the other.
Okay. All right.
So now we're going to look at, as we start off, some interest rates, and then I've done some national statistics. So
okay, I got the Freddie Mac survey here.
All right,
we want to do that. Okay, as usual, the Freddie Mac mortgage market survey for the week ending October 29th. That would be today, but it's always a little slow. So let's see what happens. What happened this week? They say the 30-year fixed rate mortgage averaged 3.76%, which was down from last week when it averaged 3.79. Now, within the last couple days, I would say the rates have moved back up. This is a survey that actually is probably done like Monday, Tuesday this week, so it kind of misses the Wednesday, Thursday moves. Now, a year ago at this time, the 30-year averaged 3.98%, so overall down from a year ago. The 15-year this week averaged 2.98%, and that was unchanged from last week. So the 15-year did not move, and a year ago the 15-year fixed-rate mortgage was at 3.13%. So rates are basically still in that band that they've been in for a year or more and longer, and everybody was saying rates are going to go up. Now the Fed met this week.
Yep.
They didn't.
They had coffee.
They had coffee. They didn't have any kind of press conference, and they kind of put the interest rate hike thing. People are thinking it went back on a table, and that kind of was what moved markets yesterday and today so far. Everybody kind of panicked and said, "Oh my God, they might raise rates in December next time they meet." But I think they're just kind of prepping. They didn't want to just come out and say, no, we're not going to raise rates. I think they're just kind of playing games, trying to play mind games with us. I don't know. I already lost one bet. I'm not going to make another one. Is that okay?
That's okay with me.
Okay,
That's
all right.
okay with me.
Okay. Let's see, what is our friend Barry Habib at the MBS Highway? What's he talking about today? As I just said, yesterday the mortgage bonds, they reacted negatively to a slightly hawkish Fed statement. The Fed left rates unchanged, but said that job growth had slowed and hinted that there could be some inflationary pressures. Okay. The first or advanced read on third quarter GDP was reported at a tepid, Barry's words, 1.5%. That's slightly lower than expectations. And that was much less than the 3.9% growth GDP saw in the second quarter. And the initial jobless claims were reported at 260. This was 5,000 better than market expectations. So that number was, pretty good number. Probably kept interest rates where they were at, basically. Pending home sales were down in September, and that kind of coincides with our numbers here, maybe?
Yep.
Okay. That was lower than expectations. But on a year-over-year basis, pending home sales were still up. This was nationwide, 3%, so still pretty good numbers.
Right.
When you look at it. And how does that compare to Bismarck? You got any idea there?
Yeah, BismarckMandan, this is September 30th to September 30th, so it's a month of September.
Okay.
Compared to last year, in the city of Bismarck, 69 homes sold last year, 61 this year. Rural, 14 homes to 12. That's down 12% and 14%. City of Lincoln is up 125% in numbers of units sold.
From last year?
From last year.
So Burley Morton County, they're
dipped. We're off.
Yeah, but
numbers of units.
Even throwing Lincoln in there?
Well, no. BismarckMandan,
the city,
we're up 13% overall.
Overall,
just city of Bismarck and rural Bismarck.
Yeah. Okay.
So those numbers look good. Average list price is off 6% because they're off significantly in Bismarck, and we'll get into the rest of it when we're done with this.
Okay. Little Duane Allman. No, he died on this day.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. In 70? What
71.
71 it was. Okay. I heard you guys. So, all right. Okay. We'll be back on the Dakota Housing Network.
Technical difficulties.
Totally
within our control.
Ooh, it's Halloween.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Somebody's in the system.
I hit the button and it skipped over to another song. And
somebody's in the system.
Okay,
Duane Allman.
Gremlins.
Duane Allman is in the system. He's haunting us here.
There we go.
Okay. Stormy Monday, you bet.
Yeah.
Stormy Wednesday.
Or Thursday.
Or Thursday.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
we're back
Thursday.
On the Dakota Housing Network. We hope things aren't haunted in the studio here, but apparently the gremlin or something was in there, Greg. I don't know.
Well, in some towns, this is what they call mischief night.
Mischief, yes.
Yeah, so I think the poltergeists are having a little fun at our expense.
Who came up with mischief night? Isn't that supposed to be like Halloween? I mean, why do you need another night of it?
I don't know. In Detroit, it's called Hell Night, and it's a mess. I mean, they throw bricks through windows and light fires.
That's
Molotov cocktails. Was that
kind of any Thursday night in Detroit?
Pretty much, yeah. Panic in Detroit.
That's worked out well for Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's stick with the Halloween theme here.
Okay.
Greg. Now, I came across this week, and we talked about this in the break, and you had not heard of this.
Never heard of this.
And it's kind of interesting. I saw this on National Real Estate Post. Frank and Brian. diedinhouse.com, and you can go out on this website and put your address in, and you can see if somebody's died in your house, or if a house you were looking at buying,
someone had
died in it. No, I put my address in, and it had no record because, and it did say North Dakota, it is not a requirement that be disclosed, that somebody died in the house, which is true.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So that's why it's probably not going to show up anywhere in North Dakota because it's not a record. I guess if somebody would ask that, ask you, okay, you're listing a house for sale, and somebody asks you, did somebody die in this house? Do you have to tell them?
Well, you don't know. You don't know.
Have to tell them,
I don't know.
Unless the seller would say yes.
And the next question is it important to you? Do you want me to find out? And if they say yes, then we do what we can to find out.
Yeah.
But since it's a non-disclosure state, it can be tough.
Yeah, the seller wouldn't have to say anything about that. They could say, I'm not telling you. Yeah, okay.
Which indicates maybe there was.
Maybe there was, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But you could also, if it's a non-disclosure state, if you lied and said no.
Well, then you have committed fraud.
Yeah, okay. So then.
If you know, you must disclose.
Okay, all right. Just to clarify that, don't lie.
Don't lie.
Just say no comment.
Right.
And as always, then you know there's something behind it.
You mean this week?
This week, yeah, okay, this week. No, in a couple related things.
Yep.
You had a deal where that somebody actually had asked a real estate agent was this you or somebody else?
No, it was me.
It was you.
Yep.
Somebody
several years ago.
Okay. And what did they want to know?
There's a lady moving to town, and she wanted to know, we looked at several houses, and she wanted to know if the houses were haunted.
Ah, okay.
And she wanted to buy a haunted house.
Okay.
I mean, that's one of her parameters she was looking
for. This website would have been right up her alley.
Yeah.
She would have loved it.
Right.
Because she could have checked it out, except in North Dakota.
Yeah. Well, and as it turns out, we asked that question, and there's a house in Mandan, and the guy said, well, we kind of think so.
Oh.
And she bought the house.
Wow. Okay, so it might have been haunted.
I have not heard of the outcome. She hasn't contacted me and said, man, it's great. This thing is full of spooks, or I haven't.
Oh, that would have been very interesting to find out.
Would have.
If if she thought it was haunted, Because some of that, I don't, no offense to anybody who believes in haunted houses or spooks or whatever, but, I think sometimes you get it into your head that something's going on in a place. And
yeah.
You hear things, the creak in the attic or whatever, but you can't. Some of it you can't dispute either. Some weird things happen, right? But that would have been an interesting follow-up.
Yeah, I should. I probably still have her name. I should. Well, I know I do. I should get a hold of her and say, hey.
See if they're still there.
Yeah, because, and she wasn't weird about it. She just thought it was cool to have that history in a house.
Sure, yeah. And if there is, then maybe next year at Halloween she could come on the show and we could
find out.
Talk to her about it.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right. No, another thing with Halloween is, okay, people obviously have their homes listed for sale. And some people decorate for Halloween, like the guy on Harmon, the Harmon house.
Yes.
Which is his last year this year, up on Harmon Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Is last year is doing it. He said it's actually, I think for some personal reasons, but also it's become so big up there that it kind of takes over the neighborhood for the day.
Right. Yeah.
And it just it's kind of overwhelming to the neighbors and everything, I think. But so that guy, if they were listing their house, that would be a no-no what they do because there's way too many decorations. So probably not a good idea to decorate your house for Halloween if you're trying to sell it.
Any decoration, whatever holiday you're decorating for, you want to be mindful. You don't want to scare somebody away. You know, if you go over the top, you might scare someone away from that. But the biggest thing is you want them to see your house.
Yeah.
And you want them to picture your house as their house. So you want to give them all the opportunities not to see your stuff, but to see your house.
Yeah.
And so if you got a lot of Halloween stuff out there, they're going to look at that. Like it or not, they're going to look at that and won't spend as much time looking at your house. So if this time of year you have your house listed, probably going overboard with gravestones in your yard and stuff is probably not the best thing to do.
Yeah. So hurry up and take down your decorations if you got your house listed.
Right.
Yeah. Especially if you're going to have an open house this weekend.
Or you got 2 days.
Yeah. So, you got 2 days. Yeah.
It's close.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah. But that's any time of the year, and for Christmas and Easter, all that, it all applies because you never know. Like, no, I'm not a Halloween fan.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't mind it, but I'm not a big fan, and I don't think if I went into a house and somebody had a bunch of decorations up, I don't think that would, put a negative aspect on the house for me looking at it because I would think I could look past it. That hey, the layout is good and everything, but some people, hey, I don't like this. Yeah. So you have that bad first impression, and you can't. That's hard to get overcome.
Yeah. But folks, if they're interested in the house, they'll overlook it. But it's the less distraction you have from your home, the better off you are. You know, because you do want them to start moving their stuff in their mind.
Yeah.
So if it fits, it's a good deal. So the Halloween thing isn't probably a big deal. I used to love Halloween when I was a kid.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just running around and tearing around.
Well, I did. When I was a kid, I guess.
Yeah.
So I understand from the kid aspect that it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Where we live now,
cool
we live kind of out in the country. We don't have trick or treaters. We wind up taking bags of candy to the neighbor kids.
Yeah.
They don't come to our house because they go to some school deal or a church thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's changed. I grew up in a small town, and we had, you would go around to the whole town basically and grab candy. So you have a big, huge bag. Yeah. Now, I don't know if that was the same in a place like Bismarck where it's a little bit larger. I assume kids still went around the neighborhood, and they didn't have these school parties necessarily.
No. When I grew up, it was neighborhoods. You didn't go out of your 4 or 5 block area. Yeah. But you knew who had the good candy. Yeah. You did. Because if you got a full-size Snickers bar, you and your buddy changed masks and went back.
Yeah. Oh, no, you are tricky, sir. Okay. Well, that, and frankly, that's about the same area. I grew up in Tolna, which is a very small town. No, the 4 or 5 block area, that was kind of Tolna. Yeah. So it was basically the same experience. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else we got? I had a couple of things. With By the Numbers with our buddy Michael Higley, who I've never met, but I'll still call him a buddy because he gives us this information all the time. There you go. Is By the Numbers. We haven't done that for a while. Let's see. What do we got on here? Did you know that 15% of young adults aged 25 to 34, that's the Gen Ys?
Yeah.
What are they? Okay. Had moved back home and were living with their parents in 2014. Just 10% of children in this age bracket were living with their parents 30 years earlier in 84. Okay. So that's more moved out now, though.
Yeah, they're moving away.
They're moving away. So probably we're back down to closer to 10%, hopefully. And let's see what else we got. Okay, now this is interesting. I thought the budget deficit in fiscal year 2015 was $439 billion. So that's the budget deficit. And did you know the United States has run a budget deficit in 50 of the last 55 fiscal years?
That doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't. The only surplus years, 1969. What was going on in 69? That was not the Summer of Love, Jim. That was 67, right?
Right.
69 was Woodstock.
Was 69.
So we were in that generation.
The moon landing, Manson, Chappaquiddick, Nixon.
There's a lot of stuff going on. We were spending money to send people to the moon, and we had a budget surplus. How about that?
And we had a guy in the White House going, let me make this perfectly clear.
Yes, we have a surplus for this year.
Yeah.
Then the other ones were 98, 99. Oh, we know who was in the White House then.
We do.
Well, Mr. Clinton.
Yeah, we do.
Mr. Clinton, yeah. Very good, Jim. All right.
Thank you.
2000 and 2001. I don't know if that means anything, but Mr. Clinton was there with Republican Congress. He was doing pretty good those four years, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. Until he had that little mishap.
Well, yeah, he had a couple mishaps.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we're on a break, and we'll be back. And we're just Duane Allman is haunting the studio this morning. So we'll be back on the Dakota Housing Network, and we'll see what other spooks we can bring up.
Currently, it's 34.
On Twitter, Facebook, online, and YouTube. SuperTalk1270.com.
I'm just listening. That's good stuff. Welcome back to the Dakota Housing Network. I'm Greg Larson, along with
Dave Floor
and Jim Walsh.
And Duane Allman.
And the mythical Joe Sheehan.
Somewhere out there in the ether.
What happened October 29th in 1929?
That was Black Monday.
It was. Stock market crashed.
Yeah. Ha! I got one.
Today's better than then.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Certainly. We haven't had a stock market crash since, I don't know.
A couple weeks ago.
Depends upon what your perspective is.
Yeah.
If that was good or bad. Yeah, okay.
So, Dave, earlier you talked about the pending home sales. Pending home sales, folks, is when a house is sold but has not changed hands yet. It's under contract but hasn't transferred. That's a pending home sale.
You guys sometimes put that sign on the yard sign that says pending.
Yeah.
Sale pending.
And the reason that's a good index is because that's a home we know is going to sell. It's in the process, and we can take a real good snapshot of a pending home sale because they're all reported. So as you said, they're off. They lost steam again in September. We have a statement here from Lawrence Yun, Dr. Lawrence Yun. He's the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors. He says the reason there's a pending home sale downturn is that there continues to be a dearth of available listings in the lower end of the market for first-time buyers. And realtors in many areas are reporting stronger competition than what's normal this time of year because of stubbornly low inventory conditions. That's kind of the hit everywhere. If we don't have first-time homes, we can't move up. It's kind of the indicator. And the first-time home market is a little depressed. It's a little depressed here. We've talked about our market being compressed, which means the first-time home is getting more expensive. So there's an affordability problem with that. We'll talk about that. But he says that the financial markets at the end of the summer and signs of a slowing U.S. economy might be causing some buyers to take a wait-and-see approach. And we're seeing that here related to oil prices. Some people are thinking, well, I'll wait till everything falls apart and then I'll buy a house, which you don't keep waiting, folks. It's not going to happen. But the other thing is they're just being a little more careful, which is probably not smart. And it's also something we see in every presidential election cycle.
Really?
We see people say,
that's a normal?
Maybe we're going to wait and see. It's a little earlier this year than normal. But
well, they're all out there spouting off already. So
boy, aren't they?
People think it's presidential election year already.
Yeah, I didn't know. I watched some of that debate last night. I think a debate is where two candidates discuss issues, not take shots back and forth with the moderators. But that's just me.
I heard that they got mad at the moderators.
It was a little interesting. So here's what Lawrence Young says. He believes the housing market will still be the brightest spots in the economy in the coming months. Interest rates are hovering around 4%, rents rising at near 8-year high, and job growth holding strong, albeit modest, that the demand for buying should stay at a healthy level despite some weakness in the overall economy. So he thinks housing sales will be a bright spot.
Well, and you can see that because of the cost of rent going up. And it's not, actually we could probably argue in North Dakota it's probably coming down.
It is.
But
it is.
It's down from an
extreme high.
Yeah, so it's still up. And
it's down to expensive from really expensive.
Yeah, there you go. And in the rest of the country, it's trending to the expensive side. And so it should have a lot of people thinking about buying a house instead of renting.
Yeah, right. It's a good time to buy a house with these interest rates. Houses have stabilized, and we'll talk a little bit more about the local market. We also have a National Association of Realtors National Housing Affordability Index.
Okay.
This is an interesting study. It's Housing Affordability Index is based on a 100. That's kind of the low is 100. Okay. The higher you get off that 100, the more affordable housing is in your area.
Okay, so like the 100, they say this person at this income level, that home is affordable.
The housing affordability index at 100 is it's stable.
Stable. Okay.
So if it goes, the higher it goes up from that, it's a higher affordability factor. So the higher the number, the better the affordability.
Okay. All right.
They do this nationally. They've been doing it for a number of years. In 2012, the housing affordability index for the nation was 193.3.
Oh, good deal, because house prices were depressed all over the place, and interest rates were low.
Yeah, and we look at fixed interest and composite interest, which is adjustable rate interest, as you know. So we'll just talk fixed. In 2012, it was 193 because we were just coming out of the depressed and houses were low. 2013, it was 177.9, 178.
Okay, so you had some markets nationally like Phoenix.
Prices coming up, affordability was going down, right? And then in 2014, 171. So we're seeing that trend move along. And then we've just had a slow decline. We had a bump in January, and February, but then we're just watching a kind of a slow decline of that housing affordability index across the nation as prices of houses are going up and income isn't matching it. The affordability index goes down. And they talk about the median price or the average middle price of a house. They talk about the mortgage rate. They talk about the monthly payment, principal, and interest. Then they talk about the payment as a percentage of your overall income. And they talk about the median family income, and then they come up with a qualifying income. In other words, to buy this median-priced home, you have to have this income.
Okay.
All right. So that's how they work it. August of 2015 is the last month we have. The median priced of the existing single-family homes was $230,000.
Okay.
Nationwide. Mortgage rate was 4.15, and this hasn't, as we've talked about,
it's lower than that, actually.
Yeah. But this was end of August, national. So 4.15, and again, this is mortgages obtained. So
but it's pretty. But that's pretty close to what where the Freddie Mac survey was here. So
so that makes the monthly average payment of $895. That's median income is $67,700. So that's 15.9%. Of your income, which means your qualifying income would have to be $42,960, and that affordability index is now down to 156.7.
Okay, so still affordable.
Still affordable.
Yep.
But not like it was in 2012.
Yep.
So then we have the Northeast, the Midwest, South, and the West. Those are the areas of the country. They split them up. Northeast is not so great. Their prices are going up. The median income is $77,000. Average price is $273,000. Same interest rates. Payments are the same. So their affordability index is 154.6. Midwest, us, this
we're
area.
in that. All right.
Yep. $182,000 is the average median price. Now we're higher than that in Bismarck.
I just saw
the Midwest.
I just saw Nancy Dykert on the TV last night.
Right.
$256,000, I believe, was the sale price.
Yep.
Okay.
And 4.19%, $711. 12.6% of your income is that payment, with the median income of being $67,500.
Okay.
And $34,000 is the qualifying income. That gives us an affordability index of 199.3.
Once again, the middle of the country.
Doing well.
Doing great. Blows away the rest of the country.
So, folks, we can afford houses in this area on the average.
Yeah. Now, BismarckMandan is higher than our affordability index would be lower.
Yeah.
Than the Midwest.
Yep. Absolutely it would be.
Yeah.
But, we're in there because we have a higher than average income. Our income is a little higher than that.
Yeah.
Here's the West.
Okay.
Don't move to California.
Okay. So this would be a California, Oregon, Washington.
Correct.
Nevada. Falls into that.
Well, parts of Nevada, yeah.
Arizona.
Okay. The median price of index price of a single family home. You sitting down? $324,500.
Okay.
Interest rates 4.16. Monthly payment $1,263. Payment as a percentage of income is 21.3%. That's $71,072 average salary.
Okay.
Interesting. It's not much different than here.
Yeah, right.
And that makes a qualifying income $60,624. For your affordability index on a fixed price loan, 114.5.
Ooh.
That's bad.
They're low. Okay. All right.
So we're doing well.
We're doing very well here, considering.
Yep.
And boy, thank God the interest rates have stayed down.
Yes.
Because these numbers would be much worse.
Yes.
No. If interest rates had been gone up, we don't know what would have happened with house prices. That might have made a difference.
That might have pushed prices down.
Yeah. So BismarckMandan actually, because prices have kind of moderated here, that index actually has gotten better, probably, in the last month or so for here locally.
Yep. For single-family homes, year to date, this is January to the end of September, the average list price is up 5%.
Okay.
The average sold price is up 6%. The average days on the market is down from 75 days to 70 days.
All right.
And we're getting 98 to 99% of the list price, if the list price is accurate. So it's healthy.
Still healthy for the sellers even.
Yeah, we are off 7% in numbers of units sold.
Yeah.
In total volume sold, we are up.
Yeah.
Or total dollar volume.
Yeah.
But again, it's city of Bismarck is off 9%. Now rural is up 5%. Outlying towns is off 24%, and that pushes it down. But we've had in 2014 at this time we'd sold 1,143 homes.
Okay.
Single-family homes. And this year we sold 1,064. So we're off 90.
Pretty darn close. All right. Oh,
there we are.
Duane Allman with Eric Clapton, the classic. Derek and the Dominoes, Layla. We will be back on the Dakota Housing Network, and hopefully Duane Allman will keep haunting us.
Currently, it's 36.
Weekends with Stacy Keach, Richard Syrett, and Leo Laporte on Super Talk 1270.
Okay. Now, Jim, most people probably do not know this, but Duane Allman played on this song.
Yes, he did.
Wilson Pickett,
Yeah.
covering Hey Jude by the Beatles.
An amazing version.
Amazing version, and Duane Allman was a big part of that amazing version.
Doing the, it kind of sounds like Steve Cropper, but it's actually Duane Allman.
Absolutely awesome guitar playing that you wouldn't, not like the Allman Brothers at all.
Yeah.
But that's how versatile he was. Yeah. All right. Dave Floor and Greg Larson, along with Jim Walsh as always, and Duane Allman haunting us in the studio here on Halloween. Now, Greg, you got a couple other fun facts for us here.
Oh, okay.
What do you got?
On October 29th, this day, 1777, John Hancock, would later on go on to be President of the United States, was President of the Continental Congress and resigned and walked out on that day.
Well, did he just left? But he
was,
came back.
Oh, he came back to it about a week later.
Yeah, okay.
It was over wording of the Declaration of Independence, or the
Bill of Rights?
The preamble to the
the
Constitution.
preamble, yeah, okay, all right. Good for him.
Yep.
So all right.
And let me see what else happened here. I do. 1966. What hit the charts as the number one hit in 1966?
Ooh.
Late
October
66. Wow.
Well, folks, you should see the wheels turning on Jim's head right now.
The Monkees?
No. It actually was pretty good.
Daydream Believer.
Pretty good song. 96 Tears.
Mark and the Mysterious.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
And in 1858, on this day, the first retail store opened in Denver.
JCPenney.
I don't know.
You were just stating the fact.
I don't think JC was alive then.
Oh, you were just stating the fact. Okay.
Probably Bob's Nails. Who knows?
Okay. All right.
Retail shopping.
You could have said any store then.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have known.
No, but why?
Okay. That would have been a lie.
But here's one that surprised me that we don't know more about this. On this date, October 29th in 1901, President McKinley was assassinated.
Okay. On this day.
On this day.
I knew he was assassinated, but I didn't know the day.
My sympathies to his family.
Okay. All right.
And you know who replaced him?
Well, now you're catching me.
Teddy.
Yeah,
Teddy.
Teddy.
Yeah.
He was climbing a
He
mountain.
was the vice president, and they said, "Come on down."
Yeah. Literally, he was up on the mountain.
Literally, they told him to come on down.
He said, Teddy, come down. We got to talk.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Greg.
Those are all my fun facts.
All right, we were talking about affordability index.
Yes.
For the country, and we're pretty affordable here.
Yep.
The western part of the country is not.
No.
And in particular, California. And then if you dial that down even further, it's probably the San Francisco area.
Yeah. You get rock in the
LA.
Westies, it gets steep.
LA.
And those areas in California would probably be below 100
San
for
Diego.
affordability, I would guess. Yeah, and San Diego's probably
Because everybody
also
on the
too.
planet wants to live in San Diego because the weather is perfect there all the time.
And
Right.
it pretty much is. You might get bitten by a shark,
Yeah.
but the weather, it's going to be nice out when that happens. Put it that way.
You'll have a good tan with your scar.
Yeah.
And, if you want some real action, you hit the turnstile and go into Tijuana.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. So anyway, but the issues that California faces has a lot to do with land.
Yep.
No, I'm thinking, like San Francisco in particular, they have a real, almost like a moratorium really on building in certain parts of that
Right.
area there.
Yeah.
There's open land, but they don't let you because it's taking away the pristine wildlife.
Yeah,
and
except for the
everything.
uber rich,
Yeah.
who can build whatever they want.
Yeah.
The house sizes are shrinking there because of the affordability.
Yeah. And that's been in place a long time where, you can't build here.
Right.
So they do a lot of building up. So you end up, I don't know, with condos and apartments, I guess, right?
Condos, apartments, planned urban developments, they call them.
Okay.
There's a bunch of houses stacked in a park area.
Okay. So everything's kind of compressed
Yes.
in California. And now they have a new issue with water.
Yep.
And they're saying they're going to, I just read this, I think it was this week, that they are going to limit new developments because of the water issues.
Well, the drought's still in effect, right?
Yes, absolutely out there.
Rationing water.
Even though the L.A. area got all that rain and had the mudslides and everything, that certainly helped them down there. But they still have a big problem in California.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So they just keep adding to their woes out there,
Right.
as far as housing goes, and it's probably only going to get more expensive out there rather than rebound it in any way. So now, if we bring that to North Dakota,
Okay.
now North Dakota, we said, on a whole, nationwide, we're pretty affordable here.
Yep.
We do have issues, with, like you brought up, compressed inventory, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
And but that's improved a little bit from what it was 2
Yeah.
years ago, for instance, or 3 years ago.
Not as good as it was 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
But it's
But it's moderated.
it's not the
gotten
worst
a
it's
little
ever
bit
been by any means.
No.
And we don't have any big restrictions on, you can't go build over there.
Yeah.
Somebody you own the land. If you want to do something with it,
Pretty much.
within reason,
much, yeah.
you can develop that and put housing on it. And that's obviously why Bismarck has grown so well. Same thing in Williston, Dickinson, Minot, Watford City.
Well, the cities have their own zoning regulations and all that. Every city has that.
Yeah.
But now the one area in North Dakota that does have issues, and is our biggest city, is the Fargo area.
Fargo.
Right.
And of course, they have issues with the Red River, and we know about
The flooding
the flooding, and they're hopefully build some relief for that. Where that we'll see how that goes, I guess. But they have a unique issue, and you're a water guy because you're on the water. What is it that you're on the board?
Well, I'm on
here?
the Burley County Water Resource District.
Okay, so you hear all this stuff.
Yeah. Plus, for 25 years, I've been on the South Central Region Water District's Board of Directors, and that's providing rural drinking water. So we've been looking at it for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. So, but now the southern Red River Valley has a problem with water because it's the aquifer, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking to a guy. I was at a UND football game. They were playing Idaho State. He was from Idaho, and he and his wife were taking a trip. They'd never been to North Dakota, so they drove around, and he asked about the McCluskey Canal and water and all this in North Dakota. So I explained to him what the purpose of that was, and it's never been completed, and they have the water issue in the Red River Valley, and he was just mind blown. He said, "Well, how?" He didn't understand that because he'd been over to Minnesota and he saw all the lakes. And he said, "You got to have water there." I go, "Well, they got a problem." So what is the problem, and how will it affect business and housing in our biggest community in the state?
Okay. Well, the problem is Fargo sits between two huge aquifers. Well, there's the Agassiz Aquifer north, east, or west of Fargo.
Okay.
Grand Forks is in there. Devil's Lake is part of that Agassiz Drift. It's that's a huge volume of underground water, but it doesn't go to Fargo.
Yeah, because everything goes north.
Right.
Yeah.
And then in Minnesota, I'm going to draw a blank on the name, but it has to do with the Crow Wing River and all these rivers that go like through Detroit Lakes and all that area, and all that underground stuff. That goes east.
Okay.
And so Fargo kind of sits in the valley where there's not a big aquifer.
Okay.
When they were 50,000, it was good. When they're 100,000, it's okay.
Okay.
Because they can draw from the red, but the red is not a reliable source of water, believe it or not. It all comes at once, and then it's gone.
Yeah, it's not a big river. It's not the Missouri.
Yeah, so Fargo has wells, and they're at about the effective use of their wells because their aquifer can't provide more water. So they need to find a source of water. It isn't a huge issue today, but it's going to be.
Okay.
And that's why they're looking at treating and shipping water from the Missouri system to Fargo. Mm-hmm. And they would use it during drought, not during normal use. But where they're going to get horse-collared first is industrial development. That uses a lot of water because they don't have it.
Yeah.
So that's an issue that we're going to have to approach because that will trickle down to housing. But right now it's something that we need to plan for. And as a state, we need to do that because why shouldn't we use the water? Why should we give it to Missouri to float a barge?
Yeah, there you go. Nothing against people from Missouri.
Not a thing.
But, we'll give you water that trickles through.
They'll get their own water.
Plus, we have been given the right to all the water that would flow through North Dakota normally. So, and we're not scratching what we should have the right to use.
Sure, yeah. No, and that's interesting. The only way to refill an aquifer is to get a whole bunch of moisture from the sky.
Right.
And of course that prevents a different problem for them out there because then that would cause the red to flood.
Right.
So there really are.
We don't like when that happens, do we?
No. So, and even building a flood protection and a flood way or whatever they're going to do out there, that has its own problems that come up. And so in order to generate that, bring that aquifer back up, they need more rain, which not a good thing for them.
No, the nice thing about it is there's a solution.
Yeah.
We have the solution. It's a matter of getting it done.
Okay. All right. Excellent show. Folks, we'll be back on the Dakota Housing Network. And Duane Allman finally left the building here.
Yeah.
He's not playing anymore. So
he and Elvis took off.
Jim kicked him out. Oh, he and Elvis left the building. Okay. All right.
Keep
Greg,
your kids safe on Halloween.
You got guests.
I do. Nancy Dykert from the BismarckMandan Board of Realtors.
All right.
Kristen Oban, their current president.
All right. Very good. Next week with Greg on the Dakota Housing Network.